I am so incredibly excited for this one, because today we are embarking on a truly wild journey across the entire spectrum of consumer technology. We're talking about going from the absolute lowest, grittiest depths of resurrected e-waste and extreme budget PC builds all the way up to the bleeding edge of tomorrow's flagship smartphones and smart glasses. It is just a fascinating look at where we've been, how far we can push old hardware, and exactly where the industry is heading next.
Okay, let's just lay out our roadmap really quickly. We've got 5 stops today. 1. Resurrecting dead and junk hardware. 2. Stress testing to the limit. 3. Retro rigs meet modern games. 4. April's Xbox Game Pass drops. And 5. The future of smart tech. Let's dive in. Section 1. Resurrecting dead and junk hardware.
Let's kick things off right in the hardware graveyard. You know, if you think you need to drop thousands of dollars to get a PC running, we are about to completely shatter that illusion with some absolute massive disasters and extreme budget builds. To give you an idea of how low we're starting here, one builder actually bought a bundle of broken, completely untested parts off Reddit for cheap. The motherboard arrived with a suspicious wet spot and this unbearable ammonia smell. Yeah, literally suspected mouse urine. The sheer absurdity of trying to scrub down a dead motherboard, just hoping for a boot signal, it perfectly captures the absolute chaos of the used hardware market. And spoiler alert on this one, that particular board was a total loss.
But hey, on the flip side, sometimes hardware is just miraculously resilient. Picture this, a gaming PC literally thrown out of a 3rd-story window onto a tile floor by an angry parent. Obviously the case was obliterated, but against all odds, the core components actually survived the impact. The GTX 1050 Ti worked perfectly despite a shattered fan, the Core i3 CPU was completely fine, and incredibly, I still can't believe this, a physically bent hard drive still functioned flawlessly. It just goes to show that what looks like utter destruction can sometimes just be totally cosmetic.
Then there's the extreme, absolute bottom of the barrel budget. How about building an entire functioning PC where every single part costs just $1? Seriously, it required buying dead motherboards in bulk just to find one working survivor, meticulously fixing bent socket pins, and literally using a modified cardboard box as the PC case. It's definitely not pretty, but a $1 motherboard and a $1 CPU actually managed to boot up and run lightweight games. Just incredible.
Now obviously, cheap parts come with some pretty severe bottlenecks. Let's talk about Minecraft for a second. In an experiment trying to load a massive 1,000 chunks on an overpowered 32GB RAM setup paired with an old Xeon server CPU, the mismatch was absolutely brutal. Because that server CPU's single-core performance was so terrible, the system was processing only 12 chunks a second. At that agonizing rate, it would take a ridiculous 113 hours, that's almost a full week, just to load the map. Which brings us to Section 2, stress testing to the limit.
Because, you know, it isn't just about what parts you have. It's about how much sheer torture they can endure. Take memory, for example. What happens when you contrast 1 GB of RAM with 128 GB in Minecraft? Well, with just 1 GB, simply sitting in the main menu eats up 90% of your memory. It miraculously holds on up to 16 chunks, but pushing it to 32 chunks causes an inevitable, totally fatal system crash. On the flip side, 128 GB is so wonderfully excessive that the only way to really break it is using command blocks to spawn and detonate 2,000 creepers all at once. It tanks the frame rate to like 4 FPS, but the game somehow survives the explosion.
What's really fascinating here is looking at the operating systems themselves. When testing Minecraft on older OSs, Windows Vista actually managed resources with incredibly low memory overhead. We're talking practically no memory used, just 2% sitting idle, compared to Windows 10, which sits around 16%. The tragedy, of course, is that while Vista is incredibly lightweight by today's standards, it completely lacks modern application and driver support, making it virtually useless right now.
Moving right along to Section 3, retro rigs meet modern games.
So let's pivot and see what happens when we force ancient, supposedly obsolete hardware to run modern software. It's really a tale of two extremes. When you run Tomb Raider on a purposely built worst PC using an old Pentium E5700 and a GT 1010, it barely hits 20 to 30 frames per second, and that's at a super chunky 800 by 600 resolution. But if you take a literal e-waste PC from 2007 and drop in a cheap Core 2 Quad and a 1050 Ti, Suddenly you're cruising between 60 and 100 frames per second at full 1080p. It proves that older architectures can still punch way above their weight class if they're properly upgraded.
But honestly, sometimes you have to perform some serious digital surgery to get this stuff working. Imagine buying an NVIDIA Quadro FX 4800. This was a professional workstation GPU from 2008 that originally cost $2,000 and grabbing it for just $8 on eBay. Because the hardware is so ancient, modern Windows 10 completely rejects the drivers. To get it to actually game, you literally have to extract the driver files, rewrite the NF text files to manually add the GPU's ID, and disable Windows driver signature enforcement. I mean, that is some extreme dedication for an $8 card.
Which brings us to a frankly incredible question. Can a 2009 iMac with a laughable 256 megabytes of VRAM run GTA 5? Miraculously, yes, but it requires bypassing a sensor issue in Windows by totally disabling the BD Procot setting so the CPU doesn't thermally throttle itself to death, and then forcing the game into DirectX 10 mode using a command line file. By doing all of this, you can squeeze out a highly questionable 10 to 17 frames per second. Ouch. It's an agonizing way to play, but technically it works.
All right, Section 4, April's Xbox Game Pass drops.
Because let's be real, hardware is absolutely nothing without software. And thankfully, you do not need a 2009 iMac to enjoy the massive lineup of modern games arriving right now. Xbox is seriously delivering with a 23-game drop for Wave 1 this April. We've got massive key titles hitting the service, including the highly anticipated Hades 2 dropping day 1. The hardcore survival hit DayZ is finally coming to PC Game Pass. We're also seeing the incredibly detailed theme park builder Planet Coaster 2, the fantasy strategy epic Endless Legend 2, and, to top the whole thing off, the 2019 reboot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It is just an absolutely stellar lineup for subscribers across consoles and PC.
So, okay, we've played with literal e-waste, we've tortured old CPUs, we've checked out today's top games. But what happens when we leave the junk parts behind entirely and look forward at tomorrow's absolute flagships?
That brings us to our final section, the future of smart tech.
Let's step out of the graveyard and into the premium, ultra-modern world of upcoming smart devices. We are tracking a really incredible progression here. From the 2008 e-waste we just discussed, to the software drops happening right now in April 2026, we are looking forward to some massive hardware milestones. Specifically, the Google Pixel 11 dropping this August, and Apple's major pivot in augmented reality coming in 2027.
Let's look at Apple first. After the kind of lackluster reception of the Vision Pro, Apple is reportedly stepping back from full mixed reality headsets and leaning heavily into smart glasses for 2027. They're actually testing 4 different frame designs, including styles very similar to Meta's highly successful Ray-Bans. But crucially, these won't have actual integrated displays. Instead, they'll feature camera lenses, audio capabilities, and a long-promised, highly integrated Siri upgrade. It's a huge move toward accessible, everyday wearable tech.
But the biggest flex in the hardware space right now? It might just belong to Google. According to supply chain reports, Google's upcoming Pixel 11 series is slated to receive Samsung's brand new M16 OLED display panel. And what's wild here is that Google is reportedly getting this flagship screen first. They are beating Apple's iPhone 18 Pro to the punch and even bypassing Samsung's own Galaxy S26, which is reportedly still going to be stuck using older M14 panels.
So what exactly is this M16 OLED panel? Well, it's basically the next generation gold standard for flagship smartphone displays. While the exact specs are still kept tightly under wraps, the expected benefits are absolutely massive. We are talking about a true generational leap in visual quality, significant boosts to peak brightness, and vastly improved power efficiency so it doesn't drain your battery. For Google, this marks the continued aggressive evolution of their highly praised Actua displays that we first saw back on the Pixel 8.
And this move allows us to predict some major industry trends going forward. Google's aggressive early adoption of the M16 panel is a massive shot across the bow for the mobile market. By totally leapfrogging the entire M14 and M15 generations that competitors are currently relying on, Google is single-handedly pushing the boundaries of OLED technology deployment. This is definitely going to force tech giants like Apple and Samsung to heavily accelerate their own display upgrades just to keep pace in the flagship market.
So here is the crucial takeaway for you. When the Pixel 11 drops this August, why should buyers choose this screen over competing flagship smartphone displays? Simple. Because the M16 panel represents a massive, undeniable generational leap over what's currently on the Galaxy and iPhone models.
If you prioritize visual clarity, peak brightness, and cutting-edge screen tech, the Pixel 11 is positioning itself as the undisputed premier visual experience on the market, period.
Wow, we have covered an absolutely wild spectrum today. From scrubbing literal mouse urine off broken motherboards and gaming on a $1 cardboard PC, all the way to looking ahead at Apple's upcoming smart glasses and those visually stunning M16 OLED displays of tomorrow. It just proves that technology is entirely what you make of it. So I'll leave you with this. Whether it is resurrecting the past or investing in the absolute bleeding edge, how will you build your next tech experience? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.